but I wish there was a way. I just wish there was a way that neighbors could search neighbors' houses, and then if they're not willing, get a search warrant or something, but there's just no way you can search every single house, in the eastern United States or whatever, but I wish there was a way.
Wow, I'm a little bit surprised today. We are going to be talking about the new search for Summer Wells. That's right. As of last Thursday, November the 13th of 2025, there was a new search by the FBI and the TBI in connection to the Summer Wells case. This came as a very good surprise last night when I first heard that yes, it is true, the case is not cold. According to news reports, this case is far from cold. Now we're going to go over everything, the specific location. We've pinpointed everything here on the map, and we're going to talk about everything that's come out so far as we wait and pray for information and hopefully some justice for Summer Wells. According to news outlets, as of November 18th of 2025, Ansley Daniel is the news reporter from WJHL 11, and what's come out is that in fact law enforcement has been following up on a lead in the Summer Wells case. Now I'm sure most of you remember, but it's been quite a while since Summer went missing. That was back on June 15th of 2021, which was a Tuesday. This June was the 4-year mark since that day. Now we're in November, and TBI spokesperson agent, along with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office and the FBI, continue to investigate what happened to Summer. On Thursday, November the 13th, the TBI and detectives were at a location in the 3500 block of Van Hill Road, that's VAN Hill Road in Greenville, following up on a lead in Summer's case. You can see the location here on the map. It's about 12 minutes by car, and they're telling us it's about 9.5 miles. Here on Google Maps, I have showing 9 miles. This location is a little south and to the west of the Wells home here at Ben Hill. So I'm going to zoom in here, and you'll notice that this road has a bit of a curve just where they're searching, and you can see that in fact here is the news indicating where the search is, and you see again the bend in the road, which makes it easier to find. There's one building right there if I zoom in just a little bit, and there's the curve. There's a bit of a driveway here. So this supposedly is the area that they are searching according to this snapshot that I took from the news. So here it is right here. There are homes all over the place here, but this property is a little bit more secluded, yet there are some other homes. So let me just get a little bit closer here so we can have a better look. Now there it is. So we don't see too much from the road, but the buildings are visible. Now I really have to wonder, what exactly are they looking for? I notice here there's some wagon wheels at the front of the driveway, and I suppose they have maybe a barn or something. Let's have a look from above. There's a pond. I don't know how large this property is, but I've heard it's quite big, and I guess there's boundaries here and just tons of forest from behind. There is what appears to be a road or some kind of a trail here back connecting to this road here. I'm not sure, but it does look like that. Yeah, it does look like a back road right here. Anyhow, this is really interesting. I don't know if they're still searching, but I heard that there was several police cars in the area. And again, this is specifically from the news, they pinpointed this area here as the recent search area. And yes, they're saying that the FBI and the TBI, as well as Hawkins County, they're all involved. If you remember, every time they came back to do a search, they kept saying that they were searching in the Beach Creek area. And now we're seeing here, this place where they're looking, only about 12 minutes driving in a vehicle. That is very, very close. The way they're wording this, I have to wonder if it's a recent tip that they got. Maybe somebody decided, hey, this has to stop, and somebody called in and gave them a tip. What they're saying is that they're following up on a lead. And so a lead, either it's something that they've been working on and they had a breakthrough, or like I said, that somebody actually called in and gave a tip. But this is very real and it's very good news. I really hope that they will find something, but how, like, what are they going to find after 4 years? If by chance, and I don't want to put anything on to these people, they might be totally innocent. We don't know really what's going on at this point, but they're searching there. And, if something happened at that location, how will they find something after 4 years? If someone had that much time to hide evidence, to clean up, to make sure that there was nothing left, like, for example, fragments of bone. I heard someone say that it's possible when people or criminals want to get rid of evidence, sometimes they can get rid of it in many different ways. It gets pretty crazy. But if it involves, for example, a location where they had pigs, someone said you can give remains or basically anything to, if there's a pig farm, they will eat anything. They will eat clothing. They'll eat just about anything. And the only thing that will be left over will be something like teeth, which they won't be able to break down. If that comes to fruition, if that is true, then how are they going to find? Like, they must be just going through that area and really just raking through everything to be able to find maybe a teeny tiny piece of evidence, the smallest little fragment. And we know that's what happens because in so many other cases, we see that yes, they do go to the effort of finding the smallest little fragments of bone, and they will then get DNA, especially from a tooth. There is inside of a tooth, there's an area where there's like pulp, and they can get the DNA. It's very good to get DNA from that pulp, which is within a tooth. It's very good DNA. And even from the bone, I guess that's a little bit different, the process when they have to use bone. But these days it's incredible what they're doing with DNA. And so they will be doing their very best. All you need is a little bit, the tiniest little piece, to be able to get a full set of DNA information. And so I don't know what they're going to find after 4 years, but I'm really, really hoping and praying that they find something to, find out, did somebody hurt Summer? Can it be that after 4 years that she's still alive, that somebody was holding her? We have seen that before in different cases. There was one huge case that most of you probably know about, the Elizabeth Smart case. And this girl was taken at the age of 14. This happened back in 2002, and she survived for 9 months. Okay, and then she was found. She'd been taken by 2 crazy people, a crazy couple, and I mean, you just never know what someone's gonna do when they are insane. This couple had taken her and she was living with them, kind of disguised. But anyhow, the point is that yes, sometimes after so much time, they can be found and still alive. The difference with that case, she was found not even a year later. So this is a little bit longer period of time. But I'm just going back and thinking now, they keep searching in the Beach Creek area, and it took a very long time for them to come back. As of November 13th, they came back to do this search. Of course, we're not finding out about this, at the same moment when they decided to do this. Who knows how long they've been planning this, thinking about it. But I'm just wondering, why did it take so long? Why does it take 4 years? Unless somebody, around here, somebody either who saw something, someone who suspected something, family member who might have heard something and was suspicious, someone who, let's say, sometimes you have a family where there's a husband, a wife, children, and at that point in time when a crime happens, they can't really say anything because they have fear of either being harmed, fear of, retaliation. They rely upon possibly the perpetrator, could be a father, a brother, whatever, could be someone from outside who is threatening them and they can't speak. But after time, as time goes by, it could be that the perpetrator doesn't have as much control over the people who are involved in the case. In a way, that perpetrator can't control everyone forever. And so it's possible that after 4 years, someone who knows something got up the courage. Maybe they were able to get out of the situation. Who knows where? I'm not saying specifically. We don't know that it's definitely, these people can be innocent, but it could be after 4 years that someone, let's say, moved out of the area, they feel safe enough to speak, and they have sent in a tip. It could be something like that. Now I'm going to keep following along. I want to find out what's going on here. As far as the news, they don't tell us very much. They specifically say that yes, both the TBI and the FBI and the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office are continuing to investigate, and they couldn't release any further details, which I do understand, of course. They've got to keep this case tight, and hopefully, like, I just think whoever did this, it's got to be someone either really crazy or really evil. How can you harm a beautiful child so young? There's no reason for it. Now here is the photo of Summer that is the most recent, and they continue to say that if you have information, call the 1-800-TBI find number. There is a new interview as recently as 5 months ago. Donwells did talk, and we got to see the property updated. I want to have a listen to that and see what he said, and then I want to really focus in again on what Don and Candace said. Now that we have this new information, it's kind of shifting things a little bit, and it might fit in with what they said. So let's have a look at this together, and let me know what you think. If you've heard anything else, give me a shout, send me an email, let me know, because this is one of the most important cases that we've been following. We have been glued to our YouTube going back to since Summer went missing, non-stop trying to figure out what happened to Summer.
I mean, it's been continual heartbreak for the past 4 years. We love and miss her very much, and wish that she could come home very much, because she was kind of the bossy boss around here, and we just miss our children, man. We had 4 children running around here like crazy. We haven't talked to them in a long time. We let Chris and Trudy, our private detectives, deal with TBI in Hawkins County, because I don't know, anyway, it's just better that they do that. It's very bad, and and then when you add the social media pressure, of them saying that we're suspects or whatever, that just adds to it, and it's kind of living a nightmare.
Summer's mother, Candace, has only spoken to us on camera once. She declined to be a part of this interview minutes before we started recording.
She wanted to, but all them fears started creeping up, of what happened, in the beginning with the social media and everything, hunting us down everywhere we go, and trying to basically ruin us everywhere we go, and she's just having nightmares. We haven't received any updates from them, no contact, and in fact they deleted their phone number or blocked my phone as soon as we got done with that case and signed our children over. It's heartbreaking.
Now this is the video way back when, 4 years ago, they did get Candace after 2 weeks, I think it was, and let me know if you guys remember exactly when it was that she came out, but they got Candace to actually come out and do an interview. Now she said specifically that she knows Summer didn't walk off from the yard, and she thinks that somebody came up there and lured her away and took her.
A lot. I know she didn't walk away from this property by herself or off this yard by her swing. I feel in my heart that somebody has came up here and took her and has lured her away from here.
I don't know if she's saying that because she's guessing it or because she specifically knows that that is what happened, but that she's afraid maybe. She can't really speak up. She's in fear maybe of, repercussions if she says something. There's a lot of stories going around that possibly Summer was taken because they had a debt and that it was planned ahead of time. Now, I don't know if this is true. This is what people are talking about. And then what happened was, for some reason, instead of going along with the plan and then not reporting that it happened, if it was already planned, then why did they report it to the police? But that Don went and he, called the police. And so I don't see, if that was a plan, it doesn't make sense to me that if it was pre-planned, why did he go and call the police? So anyhow, let me know what you guys think. That is the part that doesn't really make sense. Possibly he had second thoughts and he decided he wasn't going to go for it. Maybe he didn't agree. Maybe there were threats coming to him and he didn't agree. His arm was being twisted to do something that he didn't want to do. And then it happened. He decided that he was going to retaliate to these people. Now that is just one of the theories. We don't have the facts that is what happened. Let's keep listening.
Me and my mother and her were planting flowers. And we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from Grandma, and she wanted to go back over and see her brothers. And I said, okay, and I walked her all the way over to the porch, and I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV. And I told the boys, I said, watch Summer, I'll be back. And within 2 minutes I came back, and I asked the boys where their sister was, and they said, she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom. I said, okay. And I yelled downstairs for her a couple times, and I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone.
If it's true, Candace is basically putting Summer in the house so that is the last place that Summer was. It implies in a way that maybe harm happened to her in the house, or that Summer left from the back door, the basement door. That's when somebody got her, that somebody snuck in or somebody came in and took her, or that this story is all just made up in order for Candace to put a little bit of distance between her and Summer, that Summer wasn't specifically with her. But if you remember early on, there was a lot of talk and news out that possibly that Candace actually had gone, that she wasn't on the property, that she left to bring Hunter home. Now this is just all, hearsay, but the possibility that Candace wasn't actually there. She left the property, she was driving Hunter home, possibly she made a different stop somewhere else, and that at some point when she was away is when Summer really disappeared. So there's a lot of speculation as to when it happened, if it was planned, who it was that planned it, all this stuff regarding, whether Don was at home, was he home, what time did he get home, who is the person who was creeping around the property. All this stuff makes it look really suspicious.
I don't go on walks around here or runs because I'm scared of the bears and snakes and even the coyotes that are around here. Well, whoever has my daughter, I pray and hope that they have not harmed her and they bring her back to us safe and sound.
Just go to the FBI, the police, and clear it up. I don't know, it seems kind of elusive.
It's really strange that I've never seen this truck, and I've never heard of it until just recently. But I wish they would come forward and explain themselves. And if you're not a suspect, at least come forward and say what you've seen. She was a tomboy. I shaved my head. She wanted to have her head shaved like me and the boys did.
She tried to shave her head
in
the back and make
herself.
it, I think you can see it in some of the pictures, and it was getting out of control,
So the thing about shaving Summer's head, I think it's really weird. I know everybody thinks something different. Some people think, okay, yes, it was because of lice. Some people think it's fine because maybe it was knotted up, whatever. But when exactly did they shave it? Did they shave her head as something where it was pre-planned because they didn't want to have too much hair? Is that why? Do you guys remember when exactly was it that they shaved Summer's hair? Because when we see there's a photo in the car and it's kind of grown, it's longer, and I don't see exactly how it fits in with this date and time when she disappeared, but I have heard some comments as far as it's not good for her to have the long hair. If they were planning something really insane, then they would have wanted her to have shorter hair. It could have been because they wanted her to look like a boy. Either way, that they didn't want her to be recognized as a girl, so that from afar, looking at her, you might think she was one of the boys. Let's say from behind, if she's wearing boys' clothing and her hair is short, it might confuse someone who might be coming up to snatch her. If these parents thought, that someone was going to take their daughter, they might have done that.
we decided to shave her head off and let it grow back long, and she shaved her head so she wouldn't feel bad, and but it didn't bother her at this point. Well, I knew right away that she was abducted. You know, I knew that right away, and that's what I told them from the beginning. But they have to go through their, you know, I forget the word.
Investigation.
They have to do one step at a time, I guess. But I'm sorry that they had to spend so many man hours in these woods and everything. I've seen them limping and everything else, you know, and I feel for them. But I just wish there was a way that neighbors could search neighbors' houses, and then if they're not willing, you know, get a search warrant or something. But there's just no way you can search every single house, you know, in the eastern United States or whatever. But I wish there was a way. Just thankful for the person or persons that's doing that, you know, out of love, trying to get information and trying to get her found. And we thank them from the bottom of our hearts.
It means a lot.
And we thank everybody who's trying so hard and praying so hard. And she's an awesome young lady, and we just want her back. But, yeah, there's always going to be haters, you know, and you know, it's always going to be that way in this world, and we just want to focus on the good friends and Christian people that are trying to help us and praying for us and praying for Summer. And we thank them from the bottom of our hearts, and that's the kind of people we try to relate with and socialize with. So we don't know anything about, you know, no red truck, or we hardly know many of our neighbors. I mean, because we just try to be around good people. I mean, and we do have good people in this area. We found out since this has all happened. We got some real good neighbors and good folks everywhere. But
the most important thing is to bring Summer home safe. I'm sorry that you feel this way about us, but we love our children with everything we have. We've never went without, thanks to Summer's daddy and my husband. He's always provided for us and has worked as much as he could and can, and still is. And I'm sorry that you guys feel that way, but that's my baby, and nobody would ever treat her like that as long as I was around. Ever.
She loves to dance. She would always want me. She says, "Daddy, hold my hand so I can twirl." And she would just like to twirl and twirl and twirl until my arm got tired, you know. But and you know, I put out there that one of Summer's favorite songs was Godzilla, and they say, you know, and they're jumping all over me about past tense was, you know. Well, I'm sorry about that. It's just.
She also liked the song by New Breed. It was called House, My House. She sung that a lot of times when I play it on the TV. She loved to dance. She
liked to think of herself as a princess, and you know, and all that, like all young girls do. And
she loved Frozen. She loved to be that Elsa, and
I think she really loved to be in church because she felt a lot of love there. And I think you can't explain what that love is, but you feel it and you know it, you know, when you're young. And she felt that there, and she loved everybody in that church. Or she loves everybody in that church. I should rephrase that, because they'll tear that apart as past tense, and I apologize again for that. I hope she gets to come home, you know, and I hope she gets to be with our church family again.
Our best friend in that church was Robin. She loved her to death.
Yeah, she looked up to women that were...
She come to that church, she went looking for Robin. That was her favorite person.
Any woman that was professional, that
was pretty, beautiful.
She looked up to those kind of women. She, you know, they were, the word I'm looking for, I can't think of it, but She looked up to them. She'd give them a run for their money every day. She'd give them a run for their money. And there was times, you know, we'd be, you know, at our boys like, don't do this and don't do that. And next thing you know, the stick would come up and just whop them, you know, and it'd be like, Summer, don't do that.
Summer was the boss of the family. She
Typical girl.
When they get out of line, she'd put them in line.
She'd do her best.
She loved to play in the mud and the water and swing on her swing and enjoy dirt.
When I run the lawnmower around, she would run behind me. When the boys run their bikes around, she, as fast as that little bike could go, she would be behind them running and keeping up with them, no problem. You know, she loved to run. She just loved to run, and she could pull herself up on that swing, her full body weight with her two hands, and she could do that. None of the other boys can do that, but she can.
Was she in school yet?
No, she's going this year.
This was supposed to be her first year.
She's been, we did all the, what?
I took care of everything.
Yeah.
I had her already taken all of her shots and registered in the school ready for this year.
Yeah. I just never expected for anyone to get a hold of my heart like she has, because I try to guard my heart as much as I can, but she holds my heart in her little hands, and I love her with all my heart. I'd do anything to have her back.
Your old little girl.
If there's any way, if you can find it in your heart to please release her somehow. I don't know how you might do that. I mean, 'cause you're probably scared of going to prison for the rest of your life and everything else, I'm sure. But please find it in your heart, have mercy, and find a way of letting her go and where we can get her back. And just please have mercy on her and, you know, and us and her brothers. And she's such a loving, good spirit. Please don't hurt her. Please let her come home. My biggest fear is, you know, her being tormented or locked in a dungeon or basement or something, because she loved to be outside all the time. That was her, unfortunately, her downfall. 'Cause a lot of times the boys would be inside and we'd be like, "Where's Summer? Why'd you leave her out there alone? You know, go get Summer now." You know, and that's happened over and over again. And we'd come out and she would always be close by, but we was always coming up. She had to be outside. She was an outdoor person. And
she loved to be outside.
Yep. And I'm so afraid that she's locked away. She's such a loving heart and everything, and I'm afraid that she won't be able to, you know, I'm locked away where she can't be outside or play with a puppy or anything, love nature, you know, and that's my greatest fear, that she's not able to do any of these things anymore, or that she could possibly, you know, I don't want to think she's dead, but it's a possibility. I don't want to address all the negativity. I just want to focus on the positive, because it's so easy to get, you know, lost in that negativity and stuff, and it's just not worth it. So I appreciate y'all, the good things you say, and your prayers. That's awesome.
When my sister came missing, I was in between Arkansas and Tennessee. I don't know all of what happened or what did happen, but I hope that they find her too and bring her home safely too.
Well, yeah, there's nothing. I mean, she disappeared without a trace. They haven't found anything, haven't found a body, nothing. And you know, when you see cases like that, that's why I lose hope on Summer. You know, I want to keep hope, but sometimes I lose hope.
Lose it.
And I think, well, maybe we won't never see her again, you know. So I start thinking in past tense, sorry. But I'm trying to keep hope up. I'm trying to keep my prayers up and all that.
So at the end here of the video, Dawn tells us that Summer's downfall was because she was an outdoor person and she always wanted to be outside. So is he being truthful? Is it true that it's because she was outside, somebody came up and took her? Or is he just putting that, is that like a lie? So we don't know who to trust in this story. These people have records. We know that there is, you know, substances that they're taking, they're drinking, all kinds of stuff. So it's hard really to believe anything that anyone says in this case till we hear from the detectives, till we get factual evidence, you know, to really understand something concrete that we can really trust. So let me know what you all think. We're going to keep watching and waiting to hear. Hopefully there's going to be a break in the case and they're finally going to solve this big mystery. And I hope that there's going to be some justice for beautiful, innocent, sweet Summer Wells. Leave me your comments, let me know what you think, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye for now.